Here we go, guys. This is the hour about love, and unfortunately, I needed to change. I have to change a little bit the plan I had for today. After what happened a few days ago in Paris, I needed to reorganize a little bit the show. I would like to always to hear your feedback. I would like to hear from real experience, not just from what the news say, but what you see through your eyes. And thankfully now with the internet, we can reach out everybody out there. Europe, in my opinion, is not just opinion, but it's a fact. It's under attack. And unfortunately, as I said, this attack is not just by accident, but it's being planned. I really believe the governments of Europe, like our government here, even if it's not anymore our government, but still, the government is supposed to represent us. They're allowing a situation to be critical, to become critical, and this opening the gates to this uncontrolled, unchecked, unlimited almost number of people from countries that we know they are pretty much filled of these terrorists, okay, that have been trained, by the way, these terrorists, we know many of them, like ISIS, has been trained and also created by part of our government, like the CIA and also the Pentagon, as we know from mainstream news. I really believe this is the plan to try to destabilize and create chaos. Now, I am from Switzerland, one of the places that honestly I love the most. If I had to live in Europe right now, the only place I would contemplate would be Switzerland. And I'm glad to have on Facebook a great lady that I consider also we have a lot of things in common according to what I see in her post. And I'm glad that we are Facebook friends at least. And I would like to bring her in directly right now from Basel, or Basel, I guess Basel. I always say Basil like the one I put in my pasta. Anyway, from Basel, Switzerland, Victoria. Victoria, are you there? Victoria, I think I lost you. Let's try again. Let's try to bring Victoria back. I talk like a crazy about myself. Victoria, are you still there?
Hi. Yes, I'm here. It just cut out right when you were speaking.
Perfect. Anyway, no problem. This is even better. So this is real, okay? I'm not just talking with the person next door. Victoria, what's going on right now in Basel? First of all, after this situation with Paris, how is the people in Switzerland, according to the news, are reacting? I mean, do you fear anything happening in your country, or you feel pretty safe there?
Yes, safe, yes, but Basel is a home of Bank of International Settlements, big pharmaceuticals like Roche, Novartis, Syngenta, and many people don't, realize that Basel is a kind of a mecca for banking. You don't hear of Basel like you do Zurich or Bern. And we have a lot of expats here. I'm an American from a military family. All the men in our family for generations are military. And so I've been talking to my husband, who is Swiss, a Basel native, about, getting guns. This morning now, after the Paris terrorism, we were talking, and he reminded me that the VP party, I believe it's called here, it's more of the, well, not, it's right wing for Swiss standards.
Okay.
And this last election, which just occurred a few weeks ago, this party, which is considered to be a more right party for Switzerland, has gotten more votes.
Okay, I understand.
And that being said, they are very, very concerned with the immigration. So it shows where Swiss people are at.
I remember about 18 years ago, before I decided to come to America. I had a girlfriend in Switzerland, and I remember how difficult it is. And I like that. It wasn't exactly everybody's welcome. You need to really follow the rules, and there are very strict rules to be there as a tourist or even as a resident. So, how things are right now compared to Europe, where there are no more borders? Do you still have pretty strict rules to, let's say, be there in to even to have access to come to Switzerland, or is an open borders like right now the rest of Europe?
It's not like the rest of Europe. And like I said, we also a few years ago had a vote against minarets, which are the, places where they call to prayer for Islam.
Hmm.
And the Swiss people voted um, against having more minarets. And so that being said, it's very strict. It's a bit more difficult um, for people with a foreign interest to, have political action. It's a small country.
Hmm.
It is a bit it is a bit more regulated, and sometimes that's annoying being a citizen here for me coming from, America.
Hmm.
But it's a small country and it's a little bit easier to do, and to control.
Yeah,
So
sometimes I prefer to be annoyed than be, tortured or killed or even
invaded.
or invaded, living like a foreigner in your own country. I mean, at least, you have an identity. And what I like about the Swiss people, they've been keeping, they are people that they're ready to defend their land. They are not shy, they're not afraid. But at the same time, they understand that I think it's like almost the same philosophy of our founding fathers. Like George Washington, he said, we should never be involved in foreign wars. I'm just paraphrasing it. You want to trade with everybody, that's great, but we should not go out there and try to, do this sort of, alliances and these things that now unfortunately America has been doing the last at least 100 years, and now of course even worse, and we are everywhere. We become an empire. We are not anymore a republic. So I really almost, a little jealous about the policy that the Swiss government has been holding, and the Swiss people, of course. Even, of course, they try to change it. Now, let's talk about guns, because I remember in Switzerland was one of the few places, I think it's still one of the few places, even it is not a right, because you still need to ask for a permit, but at least the average citizen has that opportunity to first of all serve in the citizen militia, at least in the, let's say, Swiss army that is composed by citizens, like used to be our militia, and also you still have access as a private citizen to through permits, of course, but still you have a much easier access to guns for self-defense. Are you? Did you ever try to to apply for a permit in Switzerland for a gun permit?
That Yeah, actually, it's just perfect timing that we caught each other on for your show right now
Mm-hmm.
because like literally this morning my husband, I said, "Honey, go and check out that gun store in Liestel."
Excellent, excellent.
Because and then he and I talked about it. I said he said, "Well, okay." And Swiss are very cautious and conscientious people,
Mm-hmm.
tend to be. I don't want to stereotype too much,
Yeah.
but they're very sensible. That's what I want to say. And so he said, well, I have to go first and I'll go check out what they have at this store. But he said, there's a possibility that I could get guns, perhaps a second hand. Maybe we'll go to the shooting range. But what we have to do is become a member. It's kind of, from what I gather,
Mm-hmm.
like clubbish.
Wow.
Which is definitely not a bad thing. Here you have archery clubs,
Yes.
and I think it's good because at these clubs is where information can be given, shared,
Oh, I
right?
understand. You have to,
You go to a gun club
mm-hmm.
and you have to apply, and to answer your question, yes, you do have to, register
Mm-hmm.
and to apply. I'm sorry, I don't know how long it would take, but he is actually checking into that today because after what happened in Paris, I said, this is ridiculous. I all my life I've had guns in the house, and
Mm-hmm.
even when I lived in Los Angeles, I had a little gun,
Yeah.
just as a woman to protect yourself if your apartment gets invaded. So, that's what we're doing and checking into it. But it is kind of a bit of a club atmosphere, I think, and what you said is right about the guys doing service,
Yeah. And
all the young men.
what I used to like in Switzerland, when I was there, first of all, almost every citizen that is between the age 18 and 45, they have, it's their duty, it's they're still part of the active militia, even if they don't serve every day, but they have always their uh, state you know issue weapon. Normally it's a SIG 556, and it's in their house, and they have
Mhm.
a certain amount of ammunition and gear, and they can be deployed anytime. And if there is an emergency, I'm sure that probably your square block, your neighborhood, is much more prepared than many areas in gun-free zones like in Chicago. That's a fact, or the rest of Europe, okay? Because the average citizen out there was still part of the militia as the weapon in the house. So at least it's there, it's close, and it's trained. The person are trained. Then another,
I was just going to say that, they're trained how to use the firearm, and that's really important.
exactly. And as you were coming back to your point, whatever it takes, if in your culture, in your place where you are, the way you can obtain training is through a club, that's fine. That's better than nothing, if that's the way in your country there works, that's fine. At least you have an opportunity. Of course, I always believe that when the word club means that, after all, it is not something that everybody can have access. After all, otherwise, it wouldn't be a club. It's still something selective. But that's part of Europe. It's different. It's not exactly like,
Mhm.
in America, I don't need to be a club. All I need to have enough money, and I can go find instructors everywhere I want, from private schools, from site to private instructors. And ranges, normally, they are open to the public. There are no even clubs. But whatever it takes, you take now the responsibility and the decision, the moral decision that you don't want to be a victim, you and your husband. So the first thing, you already done it, and it's good. You have the mindset, no, I'm not going to be a victim. I want to have at least a chance, a plan. And
Mhm.
you need, first of all,
Right.
that's the most
And,
important thing.
yeah, and don't forget, the whole survival aspect too,
Hmm.
I mean, we're, average citizens, but, my brothers are avid hunters, in the States,
Hmm.
gave us some longbows, and we're doing archery.
Yeah.
Because these weapons are, yes, they're hobby. It's a wonderful pastime,
Hmm.
but if things happen, which things can happen so quickly as history repeats itself, then
Exactly.
you're ready to shoot and to be and hunt, and you are prepared a bit. So
This
we also are into getting into archery, which is a really great pastime. If somebody isn't,
It's a great skill. It's a great skill. I would consider also a great skill because, like you said, can be today something you do for sport. But what if tomorrow there is a really economic crisis, or there is a disaster, man-made disaster? I mean, now supposedly these terrorists, they are going out and they're just dropping bullets on people. What if next time they're going to be able to have maybe a mini nuke? And what would be psychologically, economically, and also in everything now we know as normal, the everything, the infrastructures, food production and trades, you may be able maybe not to get any more anything at your store. So you gotta live, at least you have resources around you. There are mountains. I think I lost her. Let me call her back. I mean, this is we are live, connecting with Basel, Switzerland, with Victoria. Victoria is an American citizen that now, of course, is also living in Switzerland, is married with a Swiss man.
hello.
Victoria, hi, I lost. Anyway, what I was saying, it's a great skill, and you never know. Maybe one day it may be very important for you. Now, you have any
Were you?
idea which gun would you like to buy? You have any idea what gun would you like to buy with your husband?
I don't know.
Okay.
But something. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, I tell you something. I don't want to sound like partial, because that's the gun normally I like and carry for many reasons. But since you're also next door to Austria, and for me, one of my favorite guns, the one that normally I chose to train and carry, it's the Glock. I like the Glock. I'm
Okay.
sure there are probably many other guns that are better. I'm sure there are more ergonomics, and people can say, we can open debates. But what I like about Glocks is, first of all, is simplicity. It's simple. It's a gun that
Okay.
under stress, and you don't need to, of course, you want to train, but you don't need to start to think about all these little buttons to push and, decocking or safety. The safety is your finger. That's the bottom line. Is accurate. is reliable, and they have very little parts, less parts than many other guns out there, and it's a gun that really works. That's the bottom line. Affordable. I mean, you could buy, for example, a Sig 226, okay? That they are really great guns. They're also used by Navy SEAL, some of them, in 9 millimeters. But I tell you, you pay double for that gun. I think she's gone again. Let me bring her back. Let me bring her back. One second. Let's see. Let's see if we can hold on this line with Victoria. Victoria from Switzerland. Victoria, are you still there?
Oh,
I, th-
yes, I'm here.
I,
I'm not moving much. I'm trying to keep us
no, it's
online here.
no problem, no problem. That's okay. It's gonna make it more interesting. Anyway, what I was saying, you can buy for the price of one Sig 226, one of these beautiful, Swiss handguns in 9 millimeters. You can buy almost two Glocks. Okay, in my opinion, they do the job beautifully, and they're easier to train with. And
Oh,
they're
thanks for the input and the tip. I
yeah,
will definitely pass that on to Tony,
yeah. They say to Tony,
who happens to be half Italian.
oh, great, and let him next time. Tell him to call me. There will be. I would love to talk to him. And
Oh, sure, yeah.
because I tell you, most of the times people are gonna say, okay, I want to go with the revolver because it's easier. Okay, that's fine. But the Glock with a little bit of extra training, and I think it's something also fun. You have many more advantages to have a semi-automatic with 17 rounds than have maybe a revolver with 5 or 6 rounds. So I
Mhm.
really definitely would consider that for me the Glock it's almost like as simple as a revolver, but with the benefits that you have. Of course, first of all, more capacity, and also I believe in the caliber. It's very important. Revolver normally you would go for a 38 special or 357 Magnum. 357 Magnum way too much power too much recoil to control, especially if you are not trained enough. And in an urban environment could be very dangerous because you could overpenetrate. Let's say you hit a
Uh-huh.
target, you could go through the person very easily. And then you go back to the 38 special, that in my opinion is something that is not really worth it compared to what you could get from the 9 millimeters, especially the new quality of 9 millimeters hollow point for defense. So I think, to have a gun that would fit both ends, I don't know your hand how big you are, but let's say I would go for a Glock Model 19 that it's a little
Okay.
smaller than the Glock Standard 17. It's still something that's
Okay.
considered full size. It's not completely these sub guns, but would be fit normally greatly in the hands of a woman.
Hmm.
In case your husband has a little bigger hand, I would suggest for him to have a Glock 17. So you keep the calibers the same. You have the same 9 millimeters, the same gun. You can train and share each other. The training is exactly the same type of dynamics. The ergonomics is the same. And then also another important thing, you can exchange magazines. When you buy a Glock 17, the magazine it's a little longer than the Glock 19, and it still will fit in your Glock 19. Okay,
Oh, good. Okay.
so you can keep the ammunition together. You don't get confused. You don't want to have somebody as a 9 millimeter, somebody else as a 40. That would be very dangerous. You can make the mistake and have a big accidents out there. So keep it simple. 9
That's a good
millimeters,
point.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it's a very affordable round. You can find 9 millimeters in every part of the world, and you can get also very affordable full metal jacket for training. You want to consider also that. If you train, for example, with 38 special, that they are inferior rounds for me, in my opinion. They cost much more than 9 millimeters. If you train with a 40 or 45, you pay almost double what you would pay for 9 millimeters. But then you buy, full metal jacket, just, target ammo for training. Then you can get the most good quality 9 millimeters for self-defense. They are high pressure 9 millimeters hollow point that they are perform as well as a 45. So that would be my suggestion. Keep it simple. Go with a Glock. If you can buy two guns, look at your hands. Maybe if your husband have the same hand, you can buy both a Glock 19. That would be great. Otherwise, he can get a Glock 17 and you get a Glock 19. And tell him to call me. That would be great.
I will because he can give even more information, about
Mm-hmm.
government things, probably a bit more factual than what I've covered.
And maybe it's
about being here.
maybe he served in the. I really would like to hear from him if he served into the Swiss Army. That would be something interesting to know.
Right. I'll let you guys talk and you guys can talk about all that stuff because
Perfect.
I think what you're doing is really great. And when you mentioned 38 Special, I thought of the rock band from the 80s, 38
Yes,
Special.
yes, I
Are you
remember them.
familiar? They
Yes,
rocked. They were real good.
yes, I used to like
But
a lot
your
the
music
80s.
sounds real good. I really like the music you put out,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, it has a touch of a Bon Jovi vibe, but
Mm-hmm.
it really is good stuff that you're putting out there. I really like it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Talking about 38 Special, my little story, just to 1 second, bypass the gun part. The first time when I came to America 18 years ago, I came, a friend of mine, her name is Elizabeth Sabine, is an older lady. And she used to be the vocal coach of many rock stars. She used
Oh,
to live
cool.
in Hollywood. And, when I was in Italy, I used to be music publisher and I published her vocal method book in Italy. And I also had her for different seminars around Europe. Anyway, bottom line,
Cool.
I came to her, and when I just came, I didn't have any place to go. She was my contact, so I spent 3 months there at her place. And the 30th Special singer used to be one of her students in the 80s.
Really? That's
Yes.
interesting.
Oh, she
That's
used,
cool.
yeah, she used to have also Axl Rose, Dave Mustaine, excuse me, not Mustang, Dave Mustaine, different, and many other famous rockers out there. So I used to like a lot
That
to,
whole era, they were really, if you listen to some of that stuff, I mean, they're very talented. I
yes.
took it for granted when I was in high school, and I just saw Motley Crue. My husband called the radio station because
Mm-hmm.
I told him I go, we don't do anything fun anymore. And he called the radio station and won us Motley Crue
That's
and Alice
great.
Cooper.
That's great. That's great. I saw
And
your
I go,
photos.
I'm sorry.
I saw your photo. You had a great time, I see.
Yeah, I mean, it was just nostalgic, because I was explaining to some Swiss friends at a work party
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. They don't really. Swiss is kind of a rock-free zone. I mean, they have a couple rock bands like Crocus and
Mm-hmm.
Gotthard, but it's just not really a rocker country.
Mm-hmm.
So I was explaining, this is nostalgia for me. This is what we grew up with. But mostly I was talking to them. I said, the level of musicianship of the 80s metal bands and even just rock, was so exceptional compared to some things that are coming out today. It wasn't all done on computers. And like you said about the vocalist, the vocals were exceptional. I mean, they really got trained by vocal coaches like Elizabeth I don't know her, but you're talking about.
Elizabeth Sabine. Yes, it's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
there
they
was a.
really put a lot of effort into their performance,
Yes.
live.
Yes, I agree. And, also part of our memories, our generation, probably, I don't know how old you are, but for me was the music I grew up when I was a teenager. So it kind of makes sense, I guess. Listen, I want to thank you very much for your time. And I want to give you, like normally I do to all my guests, 60 seconds. This is your microphone. You can say whatever you want. Go ahead.
Okay, well, be happy you're in Arizona because the margarita that I had last night sucked. It was small and it wasn't as good as what you get in the Southwest, let me tell you. Um, and I just want everybody to know, that I'm so pro Constitution. Get the Bill of Rights handbook and just brush through it on your train or a commute or whatever. Know your Bill of Rights, please, because I'm telling you, living over in Europe is wonderful and beautiful, but America needs to needs to protect its constitution at this time. And I just want to say sorry to all the victims in Paris. We're all thinking of all of the Paris victims at this time. And thanks for letting me be on the show.
Thank you, Victoria. Please say to your husband to call me. I would love to talk to him. And as you get your guns, I want to say guns with the S, hopefully more than one, give me a ring and we will talk about whatever you got, okay?
Okay, rock
Perfect.
on.
All right, guys, don't go away. Now, final part of this show today, I'm going to change everything I told you. Even the show is being recorded, but I would like to talk, share just some basic act of love. This is the hour about love. And what is the strongest form of love? When you're ready to sacrifice your life for somebody else that you don't know, or somebody, of course, that you know it's your family. And when I heard stories like, some of these victims that they were murdered and slaughtered in that day in Paris, they were asking and begging to these bastards to say, please spare my wife, spare my children, just take me. That's for me something that is the final act of love. I would like to talk about that, and I would like to talk about some basic logic ideas to prepare our mind, because at the end of the day, the most powerful weapon, it is not our guns, but it is our mind. And no matter if you're armed or not, if we have ever to face situations like that, we still have a lot to do. Our spirit of survival must kick in. Our mindset is our biggest weapon. So please don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca.
Now that you're gone far away, I'm all alone. That's my way. I remember the words we said, the last fight that we had. I feel sorry, baby. Please don't be sad. Please don't be sad. Time, it never stops. It fades away. All I have left is yesterday. I remember until I die, love shining in your eyes, all the dreams we had. But I made you cry. I made you cry. Life without you, I hope you don't miss me, baby, like I miss you inside of me. I will keep alive our memories and love until I die, until I die. Now that you're gone far away, I'm all alone. That's my way. I just hope we could be friends. Every dream has an end. Oh, my love, now you're gone. Goodbye.
Hey, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States with FM network. I always enjoy to have people from around the world, because this is not just a show that is broadcast right now here in this part of Arizona, of course, reaching California with Needles and Laughlin, Nevada. This is for me a show that belongs to all humanity, because after all, freedom, it belongs to everybody, and so love. And of course, guns, I wish belongs to everybody. Unfortunately, just in America, especially in Arizona, or states like Arizona, we have that right. Regardless, I wanted to talk about right now this final part of this final hour about love, the most powerful love. I was reading stories regarding this Paris attack, and I don't want to go down here if was a false flag or not. I already told you during the first hour. Regardless, ISIS is being trained and funded by we know who. The Obama administration and people like McCain. That's a fact. Now I want to focus on the love part. When I read the stories that some of these people, the victims, they were on the ground and they were begging, not for their lives, but begging to leave, let their family members live, to beg, to say, please kill me, but do not kill my son, do not kill my wife, do not kill my girlfriend. That's for me the most powerful final act of love that any human being could give. Ready to give your life for somebody else. Think about that. This is not a movie. This is not some action movie or some horror movie. This is real life. And think really the drama, that emotion, that final last few seconds you see in front of you, your family die, being murdered, being slaughtered, and maybe you're lucky if you go first. I don't know if you can call yourself lucky, but this is something that it's real, and I will let you just to meditate for a moment, because unfortunately evil is real. And sometimes, in our life, we forget, we get so used to the idea that never could happen to us. After all, cannot happen to me. And I say to many people and friends that I know, especially ladies, especially when you live in a place like Arizona, and you have guns, great. But where is your gun? You forget it at home, or you don't carry it tonight because maybe, I have my small purse, or you got, you don't feel like it. After all, you have a date. You don't need that gun. Please, think about that. Would you drive your car without your spare tire? Same story. This is going to get, unfortunately, worse and worse. More than, of course, let's not forget, statistically, you may never seen a terrorist attack in your life. Probably you're going to be hit before by, I don't know, a lightning or a thunderstorm or something, okay? Or maybe killed by a wasp. But the point is, can happen. Can happen. That doesn't even need to be a terrorist. Could be just evil scumbag. That's much more reasonable. Can happen much more. And evil is not going to play fair with you. It's not going to say, okay, now I'll let you go. You just say, ask me to forgiveness, or you just ask me for, spare your life. No. Evil loves to see you begging on your knees. That's why they're evil. I don't want to remind you the situation what happened with that family on the East Coast. There was a doctor when these two scumbags just released from prisons, or I think they escaped, I'm not even sure. The point is they came and broke into this home invasion, and they raped and they burned alive the wife and the daughters of this man. And this man was a doctor and was able to escape. I don't know how can you live the rest of your life knowing that your wife and your daughters, they were crying and being raped and burned alive. And you could have the chance, if you were prepared, if you were a man, that you would have contemplated that. Unfortunately, not because you're cool, not because you live in a great neighborhood, or because you're a good person, bad things not gonna happen to you. So it's very sad. I feel sad for that man, believe it or not, because he's going to live the rest of his life. Maybe thinking, maybe what if I had a chance to be able to fight back? Doesn't mean that you're going to win, but at least you have a chance to fight back. And now we go back to the main point I wanted to bring, What if this could happen to any one of us? Like a situation like we are facing, we are out of the blue, we are in the middle of this act of terrorism. What should we do? First of all, I said, the gun, handgun, I don't care which gun you have. You can have the most expensive gun. You can be also the most, accurate marksman and, the most trained person. That's great. But at the end of the day, you are the weapon. What is the most important weapon? Is your mind. Your mind, and I also would like to say something that normally instructors don't say out there, it's your heart. Because your heart is the real engine that will give you the motivation to do things. You can have a good mindset. You can have the perfect warrior mindset. Great. But you must be motivated by love. To be ready to do whatever it takes to stop evil, even at your own risk, even ready to give your life if you have to. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like to give my life unnecessary, especially when our life is very, important. Our families count on us. They want us alive. But if I had to think that I need to choose between me and my family, I would completely give my life without thinking about it. If I could save them. That's a fact. So as I said, I wanted to bring a little bit about how can we fight back if we're facing situations like that. And don't get me wrong, this is not G.I. Joe talking. This is Luca Zanna. I'm an average person. The only thing that I have, probably more than the average, that I dedicated my last at least 10 years studying everything I can and educating myself in the art and science of self-defense with weapons. So I'm a good student. I call myself a professional student. And I like to have it. Also had a chance through my radio show and all the different opportunity meeting the most experts out there to learn from any of them. So the first thing I would like to say, before we go into guns, we have to face a situation like we are in this middle of a crowd where we have this, normally they are, cowards, scumbags, people that they're armed and they try to prey on unarmed people. So first thing, mindset. If you have a weapon, would be the first solution. At least they don't expect it. Normally these bastards pick places where everybody is disarmed or unarmed. That's the bottom line. So the moment that you have a gun, you're already completely messing their life, messing their plan. You're giving a bad day. They didn't see it coming. So please, the first advice I would say, start to think, if you live in a state where you can have a gun, have it. Learn though, train. Don't just have a gun and say, okay, now if something happens, I will find out how to use it. No, you practice. You do the best you can. So that's number one. More important, as I said, you may not have a gun. You may be probably just with a pen in your hand, or maybe with just nothing. You know what? When you realize that you're going to die no matter what, when situations like that happen, like in Paris, you're going to be dead no matter what. There's only the difference, though. You may still have a chance to at least fight back and maybe inspire others in the group of potential dead bodies that they say when they realize that they're all gonna die, and after all, these scumbags, normally they're always a smaller number than you, maybe you can inspire others to do the same action. If more of us, we act, instead of bow down and put ourselves on our knees, you completely fight back as an animal. Even just if you have to use your teeth, even if you're just to bite, scrape, scratch, do whatever you have to do. Show him that you don't care anymore. Seriously, I'm not kidding when I say use your teeth. That's one of the best weapons you have. Go for your throat, or for the fingers, or for the nose, or for the ears, whatever. Rip them off. Look what Mike Tyson did, rip somebody's ears off. I'm not kidding. You're going to be dead anyway. But your mindset could be your final weapon. At that point, you try your best. Other solution, of course, if you have a chance, running, it's nothing bad. You want to preserve, at least keep the distance. Running is normally the way that you can be able to live another hour, maybe live another second and regroup, have a plan, and eventually, if you have a plan that makes sense, you can go back into the fight and try to help to stop the threat. So running doesn't mean that you are a coward. Running means that at the same time you are living right now, you have a chance to escape this immediate attack. And at the same time, once you have a chance to regroup and be safe, you can articulate a plan. And then at that point, even if you don't have a weapon, maybe you can create a weapon. Look around. Anything become a weapon. I don't need to go into details now. Even a pencil, could be a weapon. A fork. If you're at a restaurant, maybe you're at the restaurant, you have a, steak knife. That's better than nothing. Seriously. So that's the bottom line. Start to have an open mind, and your mind must be your mindset. Completely supported by your heart. And I invite you right now, today, right now, while you're driving, or maybe you're listening to the show at your home, wherever, start to visualize, what if this is it's happening, what would you do? You see this happen in front of you, you see your family is there, and they may be killed anytime. Have your mindset. Don't be a victim. The mindset that to say, you know what, I'm not going to flinch anymore. I already made my mental decision. When things like that happen, if I see out of the blue, let's say I'm at Safeway or I am at Walmart, I'm minding my business, and out of the blue I see somebody walking around with an AK-47 and start to shoot around, I don't need to think anymore. I'm not even gonna have that second of split of, oh, maybe it's Halloween. No. If you walk around with a K-47, dressed like Aladdin in the middle of the desert, or whatever, I don't care how you dress. You start to shoot at people. I don't even need to think. There is no more debate. There is no conversation. There is no reasoning. I reach for my Glock. I point on the front side, and I'm gonna blast you with every round I have. Meanwhile, I'm running. I'm not gonna be there steady like a target. I'm gonna move and shoot and reloading if I have to. I already made up my mind. I already went through that. And in case for any God reason, I don't know, I may have forgot my gun in my house. Very almost impossible, because if I may forget probably my pants first, because my gun is automatically attached to my pants every time I wake up in the morning. But regardless, I may come after you if I have to with the probably, I don't know, with anything I see around. So that's the bottom line. The mindset you created now. Visualization is one of the most powerful things. There are many, I don't know how you call them, psychologists or whatever, that they say, if you can see it in your mind, you can make it happen. Also many coach, says for life. And it's true. Everything I've done in my life, I always visualize it first. And then I was able to create it in my life, in my business, in my dreams, even coming to America. I was a dreamer. I visualized it when I was a child. I wanted to write songs when I was 11, 12. I was able to do it, and many other things. So my point is, visualize what you could do, and then train in the real life, practice, and buy the tools. Remember, the gun is just an extension of your body, of your mind, and of your soul. And it's just a tool to fight evil. As I said, many people out there, they may be anti-guns, or they have some sort of homophobia, or they feel like, oh, a gun. Guess what? The gun is not to kill, but to save a life. That's the way I look at it. It's not to take a life, but to save a life. And if you want to be a victim, it's a free country after all. You do what you want. But don't tell me that you're subhuman, very, I would say, emotional, mental disorder. Seriously, if you believe that carrying a gun for a law-abiding citizen is dangerous, you are completely a person that needs some help. Look what happened to all these gun-free zones. Look what's happening in Paris. Look what's happening in Europe. Okay, or any place where guns are not allowed by the government or by some private business. They're exactly where these evil bastards flourish. So, if you want to be continuing, if you're some sort of, whatever you want to call yourself, Democrat, liberal that does not believe in the Second Amendment, guess what? That's fine. But just, you're free to be a victim if you want to. That's fine. But use some logic for a moment. Use your brain. Just don't repeat the phrases from your leaders, politicians, that after all, they have plenty of bodyguards. I would like to ask, to Hillary or to Obama, that they want all gun controls, when they're going to give up their bodyguards. Yeah, right. Try to go close to Hillary Clinton or to any of these politicians that are against for gun control. Let's see if they don't have at least, a dozen of bodyguards heavily armed and trained. So that's the story. That's the story, guys. Please think about it. Don't take anything for granted. And this is just a humble opinion from a guy with an accent, after all. Okay? And more important, it's an act of love. Saving a life, it's an act of love. It's a decision that you must make today. And I still pray. I want to pray for every victim out there, not just for the Paris victim, for all the victims in the world, that they are somehow results of evil. Evil, it's on this planet right now, like it's been since the beginning of times. I really believe now it's happening in almost a prophetic way. And, I don't need to preach, as I said, but I really believe we are living in very prophetical times. All right, if you want to support the show, I said many times, the show, it's free, and I can speak here whatever I want. First of all, I thank the station, of course, but also on the internet. And because I can be here and use my time, dedicate many hours on my life that I pretty much take away from my business, for the things I do, because I have the support from listeners like yourself. And you can be anywhere in the world. You can help this show. And I want to give you the chance to be, can be your show. You can say whatever you want here. There are no restrictions, okay? So all you can do to support me, one of the things you can do, you can go to one of my websites, like for example, Zanna, ZANNA.us, and you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents. Even just 99 cents, downloading a song, you really show me your support, and I appreciate what I'm trying to do. And I appreciate in this way I can keep this show free, and I don't need to beg for corporate sponsors. Now, for today it's enough. I'm tired, I need a glass of wine. You've been listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna. God's willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday.